Welcome to Archway. I'm Linda Lunn, and the purpose of this DVD is to show you how to use the Archway phonetic cards. And this is my colleague Anne, who is here to help me show you some of the activities. These cards have pictures and words on them, which will help you learn the sounds that you need to know when you are learning to read and write English. People ask me why I've made these cards, and I tell them that I've used them for about 10 years and found them very useful. Both my parents had difficulties with reading and spelling, and my mother used to make up tricks to help her with her spelling. She would say friend is fry-end and definitely is de-fi-nightly. And she taught me all these tricks before I went to school so that I wouldn't have the difficulties she had. And my father, I have him to thank for the fact that he insisted on me becoming a teacher, and at the time I was reluctant, but now I'm really pleased. The cards are in the order that you vaguely need to know them. They go through the rainbow, so the red, the orange, the yellow, the pale green, the dark green, the light blue, the dark blue, and the purple. They're also numbered from 1 to 8, so that helps you to know which ones you need to work on. We're going to be considering these separately so that you can go into the menu and just choose one for reading or one for spelling, so that you won't have to wade through the whole DVD. There are 3 sizes of card at each level. I'm showing you the yellow one because this is the most clear one for you to see. This one is the largest card. In fact, it's made up of 2 A3 cards. I've stuck them together because this is how they arrive. This one can be cut up into cards like this, or you could put it up on the wall as a poster. This is the next size down, slightly smaller than A3, and these can be cut up into small cards, and I usually use these cards for playing games because they fit nicely onto a table. The small card is this card here, and in fact I have cut some out because they still make quite nice little cards that would fit into a bag. On the back of these smaller cards, some of them have words on the back, and the words on the back are the ones that you can read once you have learnt the sounds on the front. All of the sets can fit handily in a folder like this, so that you have all your small cards at the front. This is a very useful checklist for the helper. And then at the back we have a certificate that you can photocopy in different colours, so that when they have read a set of words they can have a certificate, or spelt a set of words they can have a certificate. And reluctantly, because people asked for it, on the back I have a checklist. But please remember that under stress in an exam that you've got to know these really well. So I think you can never ever say the checklist has been ticked off. But it's quite useful to show whether you have used the words with a pupil, and you can put a dot by each one. These are the middle size sets of cards, and these are the large set of cards, so that they all fit very handily into one file. The whole set of cards will fit into a plastic wallet because they're slightly smaller than A4. So this is a whole set of them, and this is how I carry them around with me. These are slightly smaller than A3. This is the middle set. They all come in a plastic wallet because if you're going to use a dry marker for games, then the dry marker might scratch the surface of the card without this plastic cover. You can use these sets with groups of students of all ages. Here's the third set here, and they all fit into one wallet here like this. And every person in the group can have one of these cards each, and then you can go along saying either the pictures first, so it'll be black, brush, clock. Next time you do them you can say black, bull to get the sounds. And then later on, as you'll see, we do them slightly differently when you're learning the cards for spelling. Now the reference guide that will tell you how to use these cards is going to come in two forms. One is in a book like this, and you can also get it in separate sheets like this, because it's very useful to take it to pieces, because there are separate sections in here. For instance, for each card there is a set of sheets to go with each card. So this is the set 3 yellow cards. So you can give this to a helper and then they can learn what to say and how to use the cards. Now there are quite a number of words on this, extra words, which you can use because each card has got a set of words to go with it, so that you can enlarge the students' vocabulary when they're reading them. The print is quite small, but I'm not excusing that because on the back here, the font on the back of the cards is quite large and they have to get used to reading large fonts and small fonts. When I'm working on the cards with 1 or 2 pupils, I usually use the big cards. And I say, shall we go over them for the pictures? Or for the words? Or the pictures and the sounds? Then soon they'll be able to do the pictures and the sounds themselves. And then later on we do them separately for spelling. And then I ask them to put them into 2 piles. Which ones can I test you on? Some of the words might be quite difficult for them. So I go through and ask them if they know, for instance, on set 8, whether they know what ancient means. Then I tell them it means very old. And the picture is of Stonehenge, which is 4,500 years old. So that is quite ancient. Some of the other words you may have to explain, but it just helps to improve their vocabulary. The book has several sections in it. The first section explains how to use the cards. The second section is about troubleshooting some problems you may have. The next one is about hearing, reading and spelling and how to help you with writing. And then we go on through further information to help you with the English language. And then at the end there are some word lists that you can tick off when you know them. At the corner of every card there is the number that corresponds with the card. So these all have a little 3 in the corner. And if you cut out more than one set to play games, then it's important to put a symbol on the back of each card, so perhaps they might all be O's or might all be 4s or whatever, and I put them behind the number in the corner, so that when you've cut them out and you've finished playing the game, then you can sort them back into their sets. Some of the cards are a little bit light, and if you're standing in front of the window or standing in front of a light, then the pictures and the letters show through. So to stop that happening, I put a piece of paper at the back. I've used black, but any paper will do to stop it showing through. You can also cut up the cards like this, so that you can make a frieze to go around the wall, or for a circle that stands on the table. When you cut out the cards, make sure you keep the tabs on, the ends here on, or else it doesn't make a complete circle. Or you can make them into a mobile by using some of the edges and hang that from the ceiling. So this is the end of the introduction, and now you can click on the menu that you'd like to learn about next. Now I'm going to go over set 1, the red cards, for reading. This is the set 1 card. These are all lowercase letters. They're called lowercase because the printers in the old days had the capital letters in the uppercase and these letters in the lowercase. These are just added on, but they just tell you what you have to do with these cards. I had to add them in because there are 30 squares, 30 rectangles, and only 26 letters of the alphabet. Now some people think that every word has a different set of symbols, and it's quite a relief for them to understand that there are only 26 letters and they are used over and over and over again. This piece here says that when you know the sounds and can be tested, then you can put the card into a little envelope and test the person on it. If you're an adult, you can cover it with your hand, but if it's a smaller student who's doing the testing, then they need this little corner of an envelope, which just covers up the card. That's what this is all about here. It's most important that you say the sounds carefully, and if you remember nothing else from this DVD, please learn to say the sounds correctly. In Australia and America and South Africa, I think they do say the sounds correctly. For instance, this letter here is M, not M. The way you read that letter is you pretend you are looking at your favourite food and you say M. It's not M, and I'll explain why that happens later. Several of them you have to be careful with. This one is F, not F. S, not S. N, not N. So when I'm saying them, I'm going to say them really carefully so that you can hear the correct way. So this one is apple, A. Ball, B. Cat, K. Dog, D. Egg, E. Fish, F. Gate, G. Hat, H. Igloo, I. Jug, J. King, K. Leg, L. Mouse, M. Net, N. Orange, O. Pig, P. Queen, Q. Rabbit, R. Sun, S. Table, T. Umbrella, A. Van, V. Windmill, W. Now the sound for X is at the end of box, because this is the sound we want you to know. So it's box, X. Xylophone begins with X, but in fact that has a Z sound at the beginning of. So this is box, X. Yo-yo, Y. Zebra, Z. Now some of these letters will have other sounds later on in the scheme, but these are the ones I want you to know at the moment. Your helper will also point out to you that these letters are in alphabetical order. That is, the order you say them when you say the alphabet, A, B, C, D. Your helper will also check whether you know the vowels. The vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Now, on this set are the short vowel sounds. So it's going to be A, this one's going to be E, this one's going to be I, O, and A. When you say the vowels, you have to say A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y, because Y can sometimes be a vowel too. We'll come across the vowel Y in set 4 and set 5. Here, in fact, the Y is a consonant, so the Y is a consonant too. Now the consonants are the letters that are not vowels. As soon as you know the sounds on the set 1 cards, there are a lot of words that you can read. But blending the sounds together is something that some students find quite difficult. For instance, one young lad, I asked if he knew how to read that word. I said, "Do you know what that letter is?" And he says, And of course on its own it does say But as soon as it gets into a word like this, apart from words like away and again, it's going to say ah. So I said to him, it's got another sound, ah. Do you know this sound here? M. So I said, can you put them together? Am. Oh, hammer. Can you see how you have to say the sounds very carefully? It's am, not with an on the end. When I start teaching reading, I usually start with this one first. At, because that is quite easily blended together. And then I say to them, I want you to write the word sat. Can you think of what letter might be at the beginning of that? Sat. And hopefully they'll choose this one, because this one is s, and you put them together there, and the word is sat. And then I say, can you change one of the letters to make it say mat? What do you think is the beginning of mat? Hopefully they'll change this one to this one here. If not, I've got dear Fred, who's a toy, and I say, see if you can get to the letter before Fred does. So then you've got mat there. Can you think of how you would change the word? Change one letter to make it say pat. Hopefully this one is going to be changed into that. Sometimes they add that, they add that in like that, and so of course you have to make sure that they realise that that the is still there, so you must take that one away and put the p there instead. Then you can say, I wonder, can you change one letter there to make it say pot? Can you hear the sound in the middle of pot? What sound would be in the middle of pot? And hopefully they will change that into that. What can you change to make it say lot? Lot. Now this one here, you must say carefully the L. Your tongue goes up to the roof of your mouth and it stays there. It's l. It's not l. It's l. Because you don't know what sound to make after the l. So then you have to have lot. Then you can sound it together. But l-ot doesn't make lot. It's got to be l-ot. So what happens when they're making those words, I'm writing them down on a piece of paper, and then when we've finished I show them the list and we see if we can read them back. Now to begin with we always start with the vowel because it's so much easier to blend the words. So this one is going to be, do you know the sound there? What will that one be? Yes, it's orange, o, well done. So that's o, t. Can you say ot? Can you blend those two together? Ot. Now put this one on the beginning and you've got l-ot. Can you put that together? Now this takes quite a bit of time sometimes, but you must take this slowly. L-ot is lot. Well done. So if we put this one here, we had before, I wonder how you're going to read that. We always start with a vowel to begin with, so this is going to be ot. Can you put that together? Ot. Sometimes singing helps. Ot. Got it? Now put the beginning on. Ot. Can you put that together and make a word? Ot. Pot. It's quite difficult to blend. Any of these sort of letters you can use. I find this is better than the cards because you haven't got the picture there to worry them. Although of course you could cut the picture off and then you would have the letters. This sort of thing I bought in quite cheaply in a shop, and the reason it's cheap is because I think they put the piece of plastic in back to front, because I think this should be the front, you see. But, and although it was very cheap, it's lovely because you're left with a lovely rough surface to practice your letters. So you see you can take these out and use these instead. Okay, so there you have your mat. Now this is useful to show them that sometimes the letter is a different shape. Now that's an A, but they have got to know it because a lot of writing has that shape of A in, but it is quite confusing. But the rest in this one are the same as my set, except for this one here. My Y is a U with a tail, but this one is a V with a tail. So these are quite useful, and you can get these in a lot of shops, these sort of letters. Sometimes you can use magnetic ones. This is set 2, the orange set. These show you the capital letters. They are also called block letters or uppercase letters. These cards at the top here tell you how to use these cards. So you say these well-known names and you say their sounds. Capital letters are used at the start of names, sentences and to fill in forms. This tells you about cutting out a corner if you want to test somebody on the sounds. This bit is so important. Go slowly and take your time. Have lots of breaks because there's a lot to learn and you mustn't rush it. Now the words on this sheet are quite difficult, so your helper will help you with them. We're using them mainly for general knowledge because they are all words that you will need to know how to spell and know about. We haven't put pictures on this card because these are proper names and a lot of them you cannot draw a picture of, so we decided just to have them as names. Here's the first one. Amsterdam, A. Barcelona, B. Concord, K. December, D. Edinburgh, E. February, F. God, G. Holland, H. India, I. January, J. Kenya, K. London, L. Monday, M. November, N. October, O. Poland, P. The Queen, Q. Russia, R. Saturday, S. Texas, T. The Underground, A. Venice, V. Wales, W. There's nothing for X, so we have just put in X-ray. Yorkshire, Y. Zanzibar, Z. Zanzibar is an island off East Africa. Set 2 is very useful for clapping syllables. When you're dealing with long words, it's good to divide them into syllables for reading and for spelling. So for instance, Barcelona would be Barcelona. How many syllables? Barcelona, 4 syllables. Word like February, you should say carefully, February. That has 4 syllables as well. When you're spelling, you will know that every syllable must have at least 1 vowel in it. We'll be talking about that later. Also, while you're clapping, you can clap names, you can clap football teams, and you can clap food like spaghetti bolognese. It's good to clap the syllables so you can hear the different sounds. This is set 3 reading, the yellow set. Set 3 cards contain mainly consonant blends. That is 2 consonants that you blend together. The only vowel on this page is the U, which is there to keep the Q company. And it in fact isn't a vowel when it's next to the Q. The bottom here, near U, these are called digraphs, and they all have an H in them. These are called digraphs because the sounds are quite different. An S on its own says S, and an H says H. But as soon as they get together, you read them as sh. This one's k. But as soon as they get together, this one's ch, like a sneeze. This one here, t. Put them together and it's th or the. You have to stick your tongue out for this one, like this little one here is sticking his tongue out. Now the blends you must say really carefully. So this one here, for instance, isn't s-m, it's sm. It's not s-n, it's sn. S-p, not s-p, but sp. These ones here worry people quite a lot, but in fact they're quite easy to say. This one here, for instance, scribble scr. You can either say, put the SC together, sk, and then add the R, skr, or you can say kr, and then you add the s at the beginning, so it becomes skr. So we start at the beginning. This is black, bull, brush, brr, clock, cl, crab, cr, drum, dr, flag, fl, frog, fr, glove, gl, grapes, gr, plane, pl, pram, pr, scarf, sk, and sky, sk. They both say sk. Slide, sl, smile, sm, snake, sn, spider, sp, star, st, swing, sw, tree, tr, 20, tw. These next ones give problems, but in fact they're quite simple. You just say sk and add the ending on, or you say kr and add the beginning on. So this one's scribble, scr, shrink, shre, splash, spl, spring, spr, squirrel, squa, stripes, str, 3, thr, chin, ch, shoe, sh, thumb, th. Now I'm going to tell you about the sounds on the set 4 cards, the light green cards. But first of all I'm going to tell you why it's important to know about phonics, that is the sounds in words. Because when you come across a word that you don't know, perhaps like strength, the sounds will help you work out what the word is. Now I've divided the word strength into the various sounds. So on set 1 you've had these individually, st, r. On set 3 you've had them blended together, str. Was on set 1. Is on this set, ring and th was on set 3. Now each of these have families in the book. So for instance, this is set 4, light green cards, and you go down to the and you've got long and wing and gang and song. So each of them will have a family of words to help you learn that sound there. Now people say there are so many words that you can't sound out, like one and any. These ones here you just have to learn one by one, I'm afraid. There's no shortcut, you just have to learn them one by one. But in the book you'll find lots of hints to help you. But even when you've learned one and any, they've got mini families, because once you've learned one, then you can know done. And once you've learned any, you've got many. And even once, which is a tricky word, it's got the word one in it, and you're going to put a s in the middle, and this time it's a soft C. S there. Could, which is a tricky word to learn, C-O-U-L-D. Once you've learnt that, it's very easy then to learn would and should. So these little mini families are all useful. Now on set 4, you have to notice that sometimes the sound is at the beginning of the word, like worm, were. Or is in the middle of horse, and is at the end of hammer. Now the beginning of a word is always on the left, and the end of the word is always on the right. In books, in puzzles it might be different. So you've got to notice that. And when you're reading, you always read from left to right. The first ones have 2 letters with the same sound at the end of these words. If you have 2 letters the same sound together, you only read one of them. So this is cliff, f, well, cross, s, fizz, z, duck, k. You see there's 2 k's together, but you only read one of them. This little line before the letter means that these don't come at the beginning of a word, that the little line there, hyphen, shows that there are letters missing. This one is insect, kt. Raft, ft. Help, ulp. Camp, mp. It's very careful to say these carefully. It's not mp, it's mp. Very good to say that carefully. Bench, unch. Careful. Hand, und. Ring, ung. Tank, unk. Tent, unt. When you have the Y on the end of a word, it often says E. So it's windy, E. Tricky one, because you think it's going to be an E, but it's a Y. Same sounds again almost. Friendly, lee. You think it's going to be an E, but it's a Y. Cold, old. Wall, all. Car, are. Hammer, girl, horse, or. Church, candle, l. Careful with that one. Keep your tongue up. Candle, l. And the E is silent.